So, we just got through with the Nintendo Switch presentation. I'm recording this overnight. And they announced many things, such as the retail price of $300, online play, which begins as a free trial, and then later we'll have a paid service into fall 2017. How much they're going to charge for the online service, we don't yet know. We had a lot of details about the Joy-Con controller. We had a huge slew of games that were announced, many of which were not announced as launch titles, which is an important factor here for Nintendo. And perhaps most importantly to many people, we have a capture button now. We have a means of directly there on a Nintendo console saying, we want you to use this capture button to take screenshots of your gameplay. Later they're going to include video and you'll be able to share that on social media. That is a huge deal for Nintendo. Maybe that signifies the coming of Nintendo not striking down every single piece of online content that includes gameplay and finally embracing the 21st century and doing what other large companies like Sony and Microsoft have done in saying, hey, we want you to advertise these games. We want you to be able to share the gameplay content with your friends. We're giving you a mechanism to do it out of the box, and we're not going to penalize you for it. We're not going to come after content creators for capturing content right there on the console. Whether or not that's the full direction they're going to take, it's a really important detail, and I'm assuming that we're going to get more information about that here in the near future. The Joy-Con controllers are amazing. There's so much technology packed into those things. It's got accelerometers, it's got the IR port, which can detect objects at a distance, and there's shoulder buttons on the inside rails. You're able to use the normal motion controls as well as use the Joy-Cons as normal functional controllers. There's just so much going on there, and they announced a big slew of games. We didn't get a whole lot of launch titles there. We didn't get any release dates, really. We did get a few launch titles that were new Nintendo originals. In fact, I think we've gotten two brand new IPs. One called ARMS, which involves a crazy boxing mechanic where you have boxing arms flying across entire arenas, and that's one example of how you can use Joy-Con controllers you can tilt them and shift that arm different directions, and there's that whole mechanic there. It looks interesting. I'm not sure if that's what the market is looking for. And we also have 1-2 Switch, which is another example of Nintendo wanting to take advantage of their current control scheme. And, well, 1-2 Switch reminds me a lot of a Wii U title called Nintendo Land, where they wanted to figure out a way to show the audience or show consumers, hey, look, here's all the great ways that you can use this controller. Here's these new innovative concepts. Back then, for the Wii U with Nintendo Land, it was about asynchronous multiplayer where one person has the gamepad and another person has a regular controller. With the Joy-Cons, it's kind of sort of the same thing, maybe not asynchronous multiplayer, but okay, well, now we can have interesting games where we have multiplayer experiences that are face-to-face, where you kind of put the Switch aside and then you're probably getting feedback from the Switch console, maybe in the form of audio, or maybe there's a scorecard there, and then the rest of the game is just played with the controllers. How much people are going to actually use these types of concepts socially and out and about or at parties or whatever the case may be is kind of an open question. And my theory is that still what matters most in Nintendo's case and in the case of the Nintendo Switch is hardcore gaming experiences on the go, which is the prime concept of this console, and that should remain the case. So 1-2 Switch and ARMS, they're pretty good concepts, and I can see what Nintendo's trying to do by trying to target a casual audience as well as target hardcore gamers. But ultimately, the experience that hardcore gamers are looking for is we want to be able to play Zelda. We want to be able to play Skyrim mobile. We want to pick it up and take it with us. And I think that most audiences, including even casuals or previous casuals, that will still probably be the case. Think about it. How often do you go to a party or a social event where you're still sitting down and playing video games? I mean, it happens sometimes. I know that I've played a lot of fun party games and stuff like that, but myself, as an introverted person, how often do I go to parties? Not very often. But even so, even for the total party animal, many parties you go to, people are not playing video games at those parties. At least that's the case here in the United States. There are many instances in which you will not be using these social aspects that I think Nintendo is envisioning and has been dreaming of for years. It's also really critical that when we finally launch on March 3rd, March 3rd being the key release date, by the way, that we launch with a strong lineup of games, which, if all they've announced so far is what we're getting, which includes Zelda, it includes Mario Kart, I believe, and a couple others, including 1-2 Switch and ARMS, Splatoon 2. With that lineup, that's not a bad launch lineup. It would have been better if we would have gotten Mario and Zelda, which is what I was really hoping for and honestly expecting, just because what Nintendo needs to do is they need to go all out with this thing. And I think they're trying. I think they're doing absolutely everything they can to listen to what people are searching for and asking for. And a lot of that came out in this presentation. Mario probably just simply isn't ready, which is understandable. So we're going to get it holiday 2017. Okay, but ultimately when we launch, we got to have a strong lineup. They're going to need to stock this thing. That artificial scarcity tactic, it's not flying with anybody anymore. Everyone is still upset over the fact that they didn't stock the NES Classic, and with the Switch, that's not going to fly at all. There was an announcement a while back that they were going to be shipping for its release, its first month. I think they're shipping 2 million units. Frankly, that's probably not going to cut it. And since they're launching in early March, I mean, March 3rd is the very beginning of the month, I think it's fair to expect that they could move those 2 million units within the first couple of weeks. And then within that time frame, boom, we're right back to having stocking issues with keeping the Switch on store shelves, which hopefully we're not going to end up with that, because if we do, it could really kill some of the hype and excitement for the console and probably produce some kind of an issue sales-wise as well, I imagine. They claim that over 80 different games are in development, which is really great. But those games are extremely important, as well as when those games launch. We know FIFA's coming, we know Skyrim is coming, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. We have all these titles that are in the works that are very exciting, but the big question is when are those games launching? Because we need all of this stuff to hit right within that launch window. It's okay if we launch with maybe 5 games, or maybe 5-10 games, probably some third-party titles in addition to the Nintendo first-party titles. But we really need, within those first 2 to 3 months, that first 90 days of Switch, we gotta flood the market with games. And if Nintendo doesn't do that, I don't know if this is going to work. This presentation, the impression I came away with is that, wow, they're doing a lot of things right. The marketing and the message is still very strong. I'm very impressed with what they packed into the Joy-Con controller. But is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough to make this thing a really strong success? They're going to need everything they can possibly get. And I hope they have it. I think at this point we have a pretty good idea of what they're going to have on day one. They need to sell 13 or 14 million units, within the first 6 months, really. This thing needs to exceed GameCube. This thing needs to, I mean, this has got to be the thing that takes them back to their heyday. And if it isn't, then things are just not going to be the same with Nintendo in another 5 years. You know, it's interesting to think about, but I'm already wondering what's going to come after the Switch. I know that's weird. I know we just watched the presentation and we just are still kind of letting all of it sink in and we're still mulling it over, but I'm already thinking about it. I'm already thinking about what is the next move for Nintendo? How are they going to tie in mobile games on smartphones or mobile experiences with the Switch? How are they going to take online play and maybe even mix some things with other devices or PCs even? It's all coming down the road, and the lines of console and computers, it's all kind of getting blurred, and we're seeing all of that, all of this craziness happen. I think that smartphones are going to play an extremely important role for them, both with their mobile games as well as how the mobile experience that they might be designing for some of their first-party titles and how that ties into the Switch as basically a handheld. All of these are important questions, and what they're going to do after the Switch is an important question. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and enjoy what we have so far with the Switch. Needless to say, I know I'm expressing some doubts and some concerns here in this video, but I am extremely excited. I had a lot of moments where I felt really, really great about what they delivered in this presentation. And overall, I'm extremely optimistic. And I think you should be too. I think that we have a lot to look forward to. And yeah, Nintendo Switch. Thanks for watching. You know what to do. Subscribe, like. I'll see you next time.